Respect and honor, beautiful soul. Tonight we're talking about level 10 living, GPS to reaching your maximum potential. And I'm also going to touch on our 2016 negativity fast and gratitude feast. We are going to embark on our 2016 negativity fast beginning March 20th, the Spring Equinox, which is the first day of spring. So wherever you are, whether you are in Santorini or whether you're in Greece or Dubai or Bali or Watts or Compton, we are going to embark upon a fast from all negative thinking, from hating, from gossip, from negativity in all its shapes, forms, and manifestations. And we're going to begin day 1, March 20th, 2016, the Spring Equinox, and we are going to embark on this for 60 days. So we're rolling back out the 60-day negativity fast, and I'm going to talk about how that will impact and improve your ability to reach your maximum potential. Now, first things first, we have to start to make meditation a part of our lives daily. Seriously. Like seriously, for real, for real, for real. All jokes aside. I know I mention it a lot. If you've read any of my books, I talk about it a lot, but it's something that I'm noticing more and more. People are not actually taking the time to sit down, plant your behind, center yourself, get balanced, get silent, get quiet, and meditate. We're not doing that. And we have to start doing it because it's so beneficial. It's beneficial more than you know, on a physical level, on a metaphysical level, on a physiological level, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. It behooves you to do it. It will calm your spirit. It will calm your mind. It will slow down your thoughts, get you from that, beta wave thinking to a level where you can begin to start manifesting the things that you want to manifest. I would suggest, if you've never done it before, because there's so many people who say they meditate and they really don't, or they're doing what they believe is meditation, but they're not really meditating. To begin with, if you've never meditated before, I would say start with guided meditation, some type of audio CD or YouTube video, something that will help you start to just focusing on the silence. When you close your eyes, the silence, the darkness, getting somewhere, first of all, getting yourself in a position, in a place, in a space that is quiet, that is silent, that is serene, that is tranquil. Somewhere that is devoid of all noise and distractions and pollution, noise pollution. You don't want to have to hear the sounds of barking dogs and crying babies and ambulance sirens and police sirens and helicopters and things like that. But if you can't get away from that type of noise pollution, I would advise you to get some really great headphones or headset and put that headset on. And even if you have to just play some really beautiful music, something that doesn't have too much beat or bass, or you don't want a loud bass line, but you want something that can bring your heart rate down and your heartbeat down and get your mind and your thoughts to slow down. Just start there. And once you learn to quiet yourself, here's the thing, you don't have to, sit in lotus flower position like a yogi like your Buddha, if that's uncomfortable for you. I know people who, when they cross their legs in a lotus position, they're uncomfortable. It hurts. So it shouldn't hurt. If it hurts, don't sit in a lotus position or cross-legged or Indian style, some people say. Lay down flat. As long as your spine is erect, okay, lay down on your back and make your body turn into a star. And where your legs are spread and your arms are spread, and you're laying down flat. But as long as your spine is erect and in one long position, you don't want to be curved or rounded or bending over. And after you get past the being able to silence your thoughts in your mind and get quiet, you want to begin to just black out everything. And the mind is so tricky, it's going to start making you think about, oh, I got to pick up the kids and I have to cook dinner. Oh, I got to go to the gym. Oh, I forgot to turn this in, or I forgot to do that. Just try to silence your ego. Your ego is really loud, and your ego is always hungry and thirsty and wants sex, and it wants attention, and it wants this and it wants that. And so your time to meditate is your time. This is your special time. And not only is it your special time, it's your time to manifest. And so we are trying to get to level 10 living. That's beyond the mediocre, the mediocrity, the average. Everybody, for the most part, is living an average life, making average money, just barely getting by, just over broke, just barely healthy, and even those who are healthy and abundant and coming from a space of abundance, they are not mentally enjoying or grateful for the good that is in their lives. So therefore, they're not on level 10 living either. But tonight we're talking about the GPS to reaching your maximum potential. And I would say, if you have not started meditating, start tonight. Meditation needs to become a part of your daily life, at least 24 minutes every day. Why 24 minutes? Because that's 1 minute for each hour of the day. If you can't do 24 minutes, then start with 10 minutes. But it's something that we have to encompass. Just like we eat every day, we bathe every day, we brush our teeth every day, we have to meditate every day. And that's something that the Western culture is alien. It's alien to the Western culture. We're such a hustle and bustle, get up and go. And yeah, we do make things happen, but psychologically and physiologically and spiritually, we're dying inside. So that serenity and that time alone is, it's imperative. Now, also what you need to start doing daily, every night, just before you go to bed, you want to speak and you want to offer up your problems or your issues or your concerns to the infinite mind. You want to ask for guidance and direction. You want to speak to your cells, speak to the cells of your body, speak to your blood, speak to your bones, speak to your potential, speak to your future self. Your future self can be yourself tomorrow, yourself next year, or yourself 20 years from now. But speak to your potential. And what you want to do is, whatever is bothering you or concerning you, whether you are just, you're stumped on some problem going on in your life, you want to pose that question. Just pose it in the form of the I am. So, case in point, an example of that would be, let's say you're trying to get into a program at school or something. And so you would say, how do I get into this program? And the more questions and the more detailed and specific those questions are, the better. How do I get into this program? Where am I going to find the money to finance and fund and sponsor my ability to get into this program? Who do I know who can help me get into this program? What is going to be the benefit of me matriculating through this program? Ask those types of questions. That's just one example. And you ask that right before you go to bed. And what you're doing is you're speaking to the infinite mind. You know, some of you call it God or Allah or Yeshua or Yeshua or whatever, but it's within you, and it's the God force that we breathe and have our movement and being in. And what will happen is, the more you do this, you're going to start getting answers, and those answers will come in the form of codes. Okay, it may come in the form of your dream world. Those questions will be answered in your dream world, or they may be answered the next day while you're in traffic, or you're on the train and you'll see a bus pass by or something like that, and there'll be something written on that bus in the form of an advertisement or whatnot, but it will answer some of the questions you asked. Or it may come to you in the near future. But the more you do it every night, don't keep it bottled in, and don't ask people or seek people who can't help you. They can't give you any guidance or direction, because your problems are bigger than them. But your problems and your questions and your concerns and your worries are never too big for the infinite mind. And in fact, once you press in and begin to speak to that higher mind, it's going to support you and hold you up, and it's going to help move you and work in unseen, unknown ways, mysterious ways, seemingly. But you begin to do that, and the more often you do it, you also want to write it down and write down your questions every day. Whatever is bothering you, or you have a something that you can't Google. You can't get this from a book or a quote or from someone physically. So what you do is you press in and you speak to the higher mind, and you write it out, and you write down ideas that come to you as they come to you, and you begin to act on those ideas. So every day you should be coming up with a list of 10 ideas. Just like when I say, part of the negativity fast, when you're writing out what you're grateful for, that does two things. It unlocks abundance, because it's telling the world and the universe and your higher mind, I'm thankful for this. So it says, oh, well, you're thankful for this. I'll give you more, because you're thankful for the little. I will bless you and bestow upon you more. And it also is, it's kind of like you are actually engineering and creating and architecting certain things to come together in the near future. It's like on some quantum level thinking, when you really think about it and try to unpack it and explain it and understand it. But anyway, also, it's very important that you do not criticize anyone, judge anyone, gossip about anyone, or speak any ill will about anything or anyone. I don't care if it is Donald Trump. I don't care if it is, your baby's mama, your baby's daddy, or, the co-worker who gets on your nerves, or your supervisor at this time. So it's like, case in point, you can't pray for one thing, you're praying for something on one hand, and then you're talking bad and throwing shade and basically releasing negative energy and occupying a negative vibration on the other hand. You have to be in alignment and on one page and one accord. And so the problem is, a lot of times our lives are full of discord and desperation and stress and depression and anger, because we are out of alignment. And so we say one thing out of one side of our mouths, and then we say another thing out of the other side of our mouths. And so you can't operate. You're confusing yourself. First of all, you're confusing your spirit, and you're confusing your mind, but you're confusing the energy and the vibrational level that you occupy. Because on one hand, you're occupying a very positive, light-filled, abundant energy, and then on the other, you're on a very low vibrating, dense, dark, and the only thing that can come from that are things that are going to harm you, or things that you want to resist. Pain. We always want to resist pain. So during this time, that's why it's crucial to avoid and abstain from all negativity, the news, negative programming. As soon as you hear somebody start pressing in on that negative, talk and gossip and blame and moaning and groaning, and then you immediately have to disconnect, say, peace, it's been real, and go in the other direction, because it's crucial for your development to not be a part of that vibration. You want to become an observer of life. Go beyond your emotional labels, and go beyond your thoughts and the things you think you just believe to be true. Because in so many ways, we believe tomorrow has to look like today, and next year has to look like this year. And because all of us believe that, and we all stay in that same holding pattern, that's what happens. So you have to become an observer, meaning you are not your body. How do I know you're not your body? Well, first of all, we know you're not your body because we know from science that at all times matter is always moving, and that matter is both wave and particle, and that essentially even the most densest form of matter, the most dense form of matter, is still just particles moving. So you damn sure can't, you're particles. Which means when that body of yours and my body decompose, it turns into something else. Just like water can freeze, it can turn into a gas, it can be, it can dissipate into vapor and move and rise into the atmosphere, but it's still the same substance. So you are not your body. You're more than your body. You are both physical and non-physical entity. And because you're both physical and non-physical entity, that means you can tap into that non-physical and the non-physical abilities that are your privilege and your right. So you're not your label. You're not just your ethnicity. You're not just your nationality. You're not just your sex or your gender or your socioeconomic bracket. These are all man-made constructs that somebody put upon you and said, oh, you are this, you are that. Well, you're more than that. You're bigger than that. You're more ancient than that. Your energy, your spirit is bigger than that. And I could really go into left field with this, but I want to keep this sweet and tight. And for another episode, I'll touch on it. Examples of how I know that you're more than this body, and that, case in point, when you transition and you move over to the other side, you'll be able to occupy the same wavelength that your Wi-Fi occupies. You'll be able to occupy and move and have your being and travel in the same way that electricity does, the same way that lightning does. But I digress. So become an observer of life. And just observe things. And so it doesn't have to be, oh, you got laid off, or you found out your partner was cheating on you, or you're going through hard times. No, it's just a matter of, this is what's happening, and this will pass. And you have to look at things as they occur, like a carousel of sorts. Just watch things happen and pass by, but you also don't want to be a victim to them. You want to be able to control, not so much just control everything, but you want to be able to steer things so that they are a benefit to you and the world at large. Our moods and our attitudes create the levels of serotonin in our brain, do they not? Our moods and our attitudes. Okay, that's some physiology. In other words, it's really hard to be excited and happy when you're sitting slumped over and you're in a depressed position you have your shoulders slumped and you're looking down and you're frowning. It's really hard to be happy in that physiological position. But if you smile, and this has been proven, if you smile and you stand tall and you make your shoulders really broad and you place you place your hands on your hips or on your waist and you broaden your chest, poke your chest out, and you look up and you raise your eyes to the sky and you raise your chin and you smile and you stand and lift your energy in a spirit of authority, then you're going to have that physiological position. So we have to understand the importance of how our moods and our attitudes change the cocktail in our brains and in our bloodstream even. This is why it's crucial to meditate. And it's also crucial to eat mainly an alkaline-based diet. Even if you fall off the wagon, get you some broccoli, get you an apple, drink some water, and clear it out and start all over again. It's crucial to move the body, to move that temple, to walk around in the forest, to walk around and get grounded. Because see, what happens is day and night we're exposed to Wi-Fi, energy, electricity, electromagnetic energy. Day in and day out, we are exposed to fluorescent lighting and artificial lighting, and we never have an opportunity to ground our bodies. And our bodies need to be grounded. So, like case in point, for example, me, the past couple of days, every day I've just been earthing. I've been grounding. I've been walking around barefoot outside in the soil, in the grass, in the dirt, just grounding my body so that some of that electromagnetic energy and all of the energy from the fluorescent lighting and the unnatural lighting and the Wi-Fi and everything that I'm absorbing every day is grounding and moving out of my body and into the earth. And then I'm also absorbing some of the energies from the earth. And if you think it's a game and you think what I'm saying is like I'm full of shit, I need you to try it for yourself. So in the same way that you need to meditate for 20 minutes a day, 24 minutes a day, at least, you should be grounding throughout the day. Go outside at the height of noon when it's sunny and the sun is shining, and just sit there and let that vitamin D soak into your skin and soak into your hair and soak into the cells of your body. It's crucial that you do this because this will also affect your physiological makeup and affect the chemicals in your brain. We push against energies and we push against the Akashic that's in opposition of where we are. That's why there's so much resistance in this world. We resist racism. We resist classism. We resist financial problems because we have all these different levels and these socioeconomic brackets, and you're rich and she's poor, and the rich get richer and the poor keep struggling, and all these different things to buck up against and buffer against. It's creating just non-stop consistent resistance. And so we have to understand to just things that you don't have any control over, let it go. Let it be. You don't have control over it. You have to learn to pick your battles and choose your battles wisely. Everything isn't for you to champion. Every fight isn't your fight. Every war isn't your war. Every battle is not your battle to fight. You don't have to champion every cause. Just let it be. Some people think different. Let them be. Some people don't like you because of how you speak. Let them be. Some people won't understand your way of life or your background or why you think the way you think or how you think. Let them be. If it's not something you can control or change, let it be. because what's happening is we're dissipating a lot of our energy and we're wasting it on things that are beyond our control, things that we were never intended to change in the first place. And so that's dissipated energy that is moving away from now what could have contributed to level 10 living, but it's now wasted. You know, so only focus and hone your energies on things that you can control, things that affect you directly, and that you have the power and the ability and the will to affect. You have to rewrite the program of what you're used to, because the old energy that we were used to is going away. And we see it in a lot of ways. Like, we're about to see a lot more happening in artificial intelligence, virtual reality. We're going to start seeing more happening in the virtual reality realm. A lot is going on. There's a lot of noise and a lot of things happening in that industry. The old energies are moving away, and so I need you to do some research and read on the Akashic record. I don't have time tonight to go into the details about it, but just Google the Akashic record, aka SHIK, or you may see it aka SHIC, but Akashic. And those energies from the Akashic records, or the Akashic energies, are starting to change. And so that affects the popular psyche, that affects the popular mainstream way of thinking. That's why we go through different eras. We go through, we went through the industrial era, then we went through the .com era, where everything just went totally digital. Do you guys remember when we made the move to digital? And we got rid of everything that wasn't digital is now worthless. Well, now we're going to move to another virtual reality, or artificial intelligence. We're moving to that next way of being, and all that will be popular. So in that, though, here's where it's really beneficial for you. The energy that's behind that, things that are going on in the unseen, are going to support you. Okay, these new energies coming in, and these new energies coming to this planet will support you in your energetic vibrations, your goals, your aspirations, your dreams. They're going to support it and hold it up. So basically, things that you weren't able to accomplish in the past, you'll be able to accomplish. You're going to have co-creative energies and spirits, I don't know how else to say it, that will support and carry you in ways that you weren't able to do it before. You couldn't do it by yourself. So that's why some people are more successful than others, because they have things working on their behalf that you can't see, that you don't know anything about. And so for a lot of us, that is going to start to move and change. Places where there were barriers and boundaries and huge walls, those walls are coming down, basically. You didn't come here to be sick. You didn't come here to be distressed, depressed, or powerless. So level 10 living is about walking into your wellness and your happiness and your ability to create your reality and have what you want to have. Understanding that you just have to begin to understand and know tomorrow doesn't have to look like today. Tomorrow does not have to look like today. It can look drastically different. And the problem is, oftentimes we allow things that are outside of us and out of our control to change tomorrow, and we resist against it. So case in point, things happen to us instead of us affecting those things to change, and we take it as a negative. We look at it as, oh, this has changed. I don't like this. I don't want this. We may not say those words, but mentally, inside we're thinking that, and we buck against that change. And so if you're always doing that, you're putting out a sign and a signal that I don't like change, and I want tomorrow to look like today, and I want next year to look like this year, even though things can be so much better for you. But this is the time to get in alignment with yourself and be on one accord. And we're going to do that through the negativity fast, to get in alignment with yourself. So that means if you're speaking abundance, thinking abundance, waking up and meditating and grounding and getting grounded and in alignment with the earth, your thoughts and your words have to be in alignment as well. And you have to believe in a reality you can't yet see. You have to believe it first. You won't see it first. You have to believe it first, because that's the way it comes about. And if you're cold, bitter, and angry, the universe will always reflect a cold, bitter, angry reality and world to you. You have to understand you are both physical and non-physical. You are both a physical and a non-physical being. So often, we say, I have to remind people all the time, you are a soul having a human experience. But in that, you're also a human too. We lose sight of the fact that, but what I see a fleshy body. I bleed, I feel pain, I have hair, I can't walk through a wall. So you're not totally 100% non-physical or soul. You are both soul and body. You are both physical and non-physical. But the problem is we place so much weight only on the physical, only on what we see, and we neglect to nurture and cater to that non-physical. And tonight I'm trying to get you to understand how you cater to and nourish and nurture the non-physical to get you again to level 10 living. You are the bigness and the fullness of the dreams of your ancestors. Let that settle in. You are the bigness and the fullness of the dreams of your ancestors. Just like your greatest hopes and aspirations and dreams and stuff, things that you want for yourself, that you just envision for yourself, even things that you couldn't possibly imagine. It's a fragment of your imagination. Someday, your future posterity, your future children's children, or somebody in your family line, they're going to be living that life, because it's all in the DNA. It's all in the psyche. And even when your physical body passes away, that aspiration, that dream, that vision will live on through your DNA and your bloodline. But affirmations aren't enough. Affirmations are important. They are crucial, but they aren't enough. Energy, it doesn't follow calendar years. Energy doesn't follow calendar years. So a lot of times, what does that mean? That means that you're going to have recalibration years where you have you noticed some years are more difficult than others? You're going to have some years that are difficult and they require, a lot of introspection and healing and shifting your paradigm and the way you think. And you have some years where it just seems like everything is going right. You're getting a job, you're getting a girl, you're getting a guy, you're getting a house you want, you're getting the car you want. Money is good. You don't get sick. Everything is wonderful. You're the height of the party, and then you have those years where it's like, who am I? How did I get here? How did I allow my life to fall to this level? But that's because energy doesn't follow calendar years. So it's not about 2016 or 2015 or 2014. It's about what's going on again in that non-physical that non-physical world. So again, we're talking about getting to level 10 living, and that GPS is your thoughts. Again, using meditation, using grounding and earthing, getting centered. We're going to ride the hell out of this 60-day negativity fast. And if you've never done it before, it will be truly a gift and a blessing, and it is going to enrich you in so many ways. I've received so many emails and letters and just people moving mountains after doing the 60-day negativity fast. And I've heard some people it didn't really work for them, but it's probably because you weren't doing everything consistently. There's no way where you're doing this consistently every day, day in and day out, and you're being grateful, and you're writing about what you're grateful for, and you're writing out your goals, and you are, meditating and getting very silent and quiet and serene and tranquil and pressing in. There's no way you're not going to manifest some beautiful things. So we are pulling out the red carpet for the 60-day negativity fast, beginning the spring equinox, a time of abundance. We have all the power we need. We have all the energies we need to help us be successful and abundant and happy and productive. You have the opportunity to rewrite reality as you know it. And I'm just here to remind you, in case you forgot. Where's the programming coming from that is directing your life? Who's programming that? Because we all operate on programs. We all operate on programs. And the question is, where's your programming coming from? So you must unlimit and unhinge your mind by doing things that go against the ego. Tomorrow does not have to look like today, and that's okay. And some of the steps to level 10 living include rising early. I know some of us like to stay in the bed until the very last minute, and we have to get away from that. I'm guilty of it too. I'm totally guilty of it. I love my bed, and I love sleeping, and I love the thought of just staying there forever and ever. But we really have to rise early, preferably rise with the sun, or sunrise, just before sunrise. For some of us, that's like 5 or 6 in the morning or 4 a.m. in the morning. But you want to rise earlier than everyone else, when it's quiet, when you hear nothing but the crickets and it's just darkness outside your window. That's when you want to rise. Get you some tea or some hot water with lemon or lime, and you want to get in a quiet place, and you want to press into that darkness and meditate and begin to create your day. I'm so serious. We have to get back to this. Otherwise, life in this world will continue to just whoop our ass, So we have to rise early. We have to pray and meditate and walk in the forest. Or if there's no forest, walk outside in the backyard around the trees, or get around the ocean or lake or river or creek. Get around the water, the sound of moving water. That does something, because your body is mainly 80% water. And so when you get around the sound of that moving water, it creates almost like it syncopates, and it gets in step to the rhythm of your blood. You have to learn to channel the prana, the right breathing. You have to breathe right. A lot of us, we breathe shallow. So we have to learn to deep breathe. Again, that's another one I want you to research. Prana breathing, correct breathing, or yogic breathing. Some of those terms will give you a good idea of what I'm talking about. But you have to learn to channel the prana through the right breathing, or the right breath. Because guess what? That's what separates you from the living and the dead, is the breath. When there's no longer breath in your lungs, you will know that you have transitioned from the living, right? So the prana, the breath, is where the life is. You have to guide your thoughts and your focus away from the news, away from war, away from the politics, away from Al Qaeda and ISIS and Donald Trump and all of the sour leadership that's over most of our countries and the powers that be. You have to focus your energy and your thoughts away from that and focus it away from the mainstream media. This is not the time where you want to allow the sound of car chases and murder and rape and mayhem to enter into your psyche right now. You only want to focus on the beautiful, because those are hive mind programs that are rerun to us every day. And we want to come away from that and get on level 10 living. And there's no way you can be on level 10 living if you are occupying the hive mind programs or being subjugated to the hive mind programs. What was that movie a couple of years ago that came out? They Live. And they, talked about how it was the subliminal messages in the news. You're watching the news, and when the guy, Rowdy Piper, put on the glasses, he could see the messages for what they were really saying. And he was saying, obey. And, this really happens. But it's subtle. It's not that obvious, but it is happening. So turn off the TV, turn off the news, turn off the war and the politics and the mudslinging. And you want to 10x your personal development by reading massively. You want to 10x your personal development by reading massively. And I'm including a book list because there's too many books to list. So I will be emailing that to those of you who are always getting my emails. But you have to 10x your personal development. And there's no way for you to do that if you're not reading the thoughts of great men and women. If you're not getting exposed to new ideas, new concepts, new ways of doing things. There's a better way to make money than you're doing. There's an easier way. The best ways to earn money come from what you do from the neck up. And any work that you do from the neck up is going to yield you bigger checks, more commas. And any work that you do from the neck down is typically going to cost you more time and energy. You may make good money, but it may be an easier, more efficient and effective way of earning that money. And you do that from reading the thoughts of great men and women who can hip you to game so you can learn how to develop 10x living habits. Massive level 10 living books. If you can't get around next level thinkers, then remain in solitude. Because whatever we entangle ourselves with, we share a destiny with. So I say that to say it's better for you to be alone than to be around a drama-filled person. So if you notice that you're occupied and you're surrounded by drama-filled men and women, your best friend or your co-workers, or even hell, you may be married to somebody, or your parents or your family may be drama-filled. Just try to avoid spending too much time around them, because you will find yourself entangled in their drama and entangled in their destiny. And so in other words, whatever happens to them, if you're around them and you're always up under them, it's going to splash on you too. So with that being said, respect and honor. Let's get to this level 10 living. Again, we're starting our 60-day negativity fast, the first day of spring, the Spring Equinox, March 20th. Peace and blessings.